that were drafted in the trades this year were obviously Heath Slater and Rhino, because I can't see a team like the Shining Stars making an impression on SmackDown Live, although that's what they're going to do. That will be remain to be seen with time. If anything, The Miz and Dean Ambrose, excuse me, are going to be the ones that you're going to have to keep your eye on, because SmackDown did lose out considerably in the draft this year. They didn't really gain anyone from the trades that we saw this year because of what the emphasis that was put on the Miz and Dean Ambrose. There was more emphasis on the Miz and Dean Ambrose coming over from SmackDown Live to Monday Night Raw than there ever was about how Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn defected from Raw to SmackDown. Because the biggest thing for me was how they kicked off Raw this past Monday by unveiling the first two initial draft picks, with the first three, if you want to include Maurice into it, as Dean Ambrose bringing over the Intercontinental title and The Miz. And then right from there, we see The Miz and Sami Zayn, and Sami Zayn turned out to be Sami Zayn's final match on Raw. And if you noticed anything about the shakeup this year, were the losers on Monday Night Raw, the majority of those were ones that defected over from Raw to SmackDown, and they had a fresh start on SmackDown as early as this coming week on SmackDown Live. The ones who lost on Raw will have a fresh start, and we'll see their debuts as part of the SmackDown roster for the first time since the secondary draft was implemented last year. So we're looking for big pushes of Charlotte and Sami Zayn to come our way. Sami Zayn's victory over The Miz implies to me that he's going to have a very promising future for us to look ahead to as fans of WWE, as part of the WWE Universe, and I see the WWE Universe continuing to get behind Sami Zayn. Initially, when Zayn made his debut as part of the NXT roster a couple of years back, when he was a huge fan favorite, I was a big fan of him. And when I saw him work with Kevin Owens when they were friends on NXT before the feud started between those two, and they made their WWE debuts and they went on to win championships, I was a huge fan of them then, and I'm still a huge fan of them now. I just hope they make the most of this opportunity that they have put in front of them on the table with Sami Zayn, and he goes on to win championships, unlike what he did on Raw when he was being given a hard time by Mick Foley, who was recently fired and replaced by Kurt Angle. Again, one of the biggest things that happened for Raw in the fall of the shakeup in WrestleMania this year, Kurt Angle being named general manager by Vince McMahon, and because of the experience Kurt Angle has as general manager, that's why we're looking forward to a promising future for him on the red side of things. And also Mick Foley. It seems like Raw general managers are general manager of the experience of being GMs or commissioners in the past. So that's the advantage, and a very decisive advantage Raw has over SmackDown, and I think will continue to have over SmackDown in the future, unless SmackDown can turn things around. And I'm hoping they're going to, with the United States Championship now being defended on the blue side, and the history that's had not only WWE but World Championship Wrestling as well, and with what they're going to be offering us too at Payback with the first ever House of Horrors match, and how that resembles another WCW concept, bringing you back, throwing you back all the way to the Chamber of Horrors match back years ago in the early 1990s when WCW were leading in the ratings over WWE. We saw all these unique concepts, and that's what that very closely resembles. We're looking forward to that. And I can't go on any further without bringing up and mentioning the women's divisions for both Raw and SmackDown. SmackDown Live picking up the returns of Tamina and Charlotte, a former women's champion who is up to about her fourth or fifth reign now as women's champion on Raw. She's going to look to continue her reign as a SmackDown Live women's champion in the future. She's going to mix it up in there with people like Naomi, and now Tamina is in there as well. We have Carmella still a part of the SmackDown Live roster, Natalya, Nikki Bella, who I was hoping was going to be a part of the shakeup as well, but obviously with her and John Cena taking time off and leaving WWE to go to Hollywood to make movies and make TV appearances to promote themselves, obviously they weren't included in the shakeup, and John Cena and people like Randy Orton will remain on their respective shows. But again, I think that it's awesome what they did for the SmackDown Live Women's Division, bringing back people like Tamina and Charlotte, and even more so for Raw, picking up Alexa Bliss and Mickie James. We're really looking forward to seeing what they're going to be offering to a division that will include, or will continue to include, the likes of Sasha Banks. We have Nia Jax in there as well, Dana Brooke. There's a lot that's going to happen in the fallout of the shakeup this year for the women's division. And the women's division, if you can throw yourself back to previous videos that I've thrown up on my YouTube channel, I have been a huge fan of, and I will continue to throw praise the way the women's divisions in WWE for both the red and blue side, because of everything that happened in the fallout of the shakeup. We have Tamina again going to SmackDown, making a return. In the fallout of the death, the very controversial death of her father, I think she's going to get a huge push in WWE, and deservingly so. That's something we've kind of been waiting on for a long time. And from speaking to Jimmy Snuka, I know that she has a very promising future In WWE in my past, I had the chance to interview Superfly. He was very promising about his family having a future in WWE, and now that Tamina now has made a return, I'm expecting a huge push for her, obviously. That will come in the fall of her being shifted from Raw to SmackDown, and Charlotte now coming to SmackDown Live. Obviously, she's going to be looking to leave an everlasting impression because we've never seen her on SmackDown before, being an exclusive member of the SmackDown Live roster on the blue side of things. So obviously Tamina and Charlotte are in lines for pushes, now being shifted from Raw to SmackDown, and obviously Alexa Bliss and Mickie James will continue the impression they left on SmackDown. They're bringing that reputation and impression over to Monday Night Raw, and I'm seeing Alexa Bliss as a future Raw Women's Champion and Mickie James possibly a future Raw Women's Champion. And it's more interesting now too, because Mickie James and Alexa Bliss, are involved in a feud now for the first time since Mickie James made her return, and it opens the door widely of opportunity for someone like Mickie James. Really big fan of what they did for the women's divisions for not just Raw, but also SmackDown and the WWE in its entirety. It's going to be huge seeing what happens from here on out for the women's division, and of course seeing the shifts of both the WWE Intercontinental and United States Championship with so much illustrious history coming behind both those titles and how they've been shifted from brand to brand in years. And interesting enough, we've seen enough shifts, more shifts, between the Intercontinental and United States Championships between Raw and SmackDown and their respective shows that they initially were picked to be on, than we've seen the Universal and World Championship or the WWE and World Heavyweight Championships in the past. So it's interesting enough that the Intercontinental and United States Championship are bringing so much history in the brand extension, the initial one and now this one that was implemented last year. So if anything is a key thing that happened from this year's trades, it's obviously the fact that we're seeing the shifts after having seen the shifts again, once again, the Intercontinental and United States Championships rather than the Universal and World Championships like we saw the WWE and World Championships in the past significantly altered. But again, not as much as the Intercontinental and United States titles were in the past. I want to know what you liked about this year's shakeup, what you didn't like about this year's shakeup necessarily. You can let me know in the comments of this video. You can also let me know what you think of my new look, the beard that I've grown out of disappointment and depression that I'm suffering from somewhat in the fall of the shakeup this year. I'd love to know what your input was on the shakeup, what you thought you were going to get out of it, what you didn't get out of the shakeup this year, what you were disappointed about, what you liked. Let me know about it all in the comments of this video on my YouTube channel at Jonathan Clarke22. That's youtube.com/JonathanClarke22. On Twitter at JonathanClarke1. That's twitter.com/JonathanClarke1. On my Facebook page, that's facebook.com/HEW Entertainment, and the same on Google+. You can get in on my conversation, some of the ways you can contribute on my show. Let me know what you thought of the 2017 shakeup. In terms of a 5-star scale perspective rating, I often do these. I'm not going to give it a high rating because we've seen far more impressive draft lotteries, and we'll probably see far more impressive shakeups in the future because there's obviously a significant amount of room for improvement in the fall of this year's shakeup. I'll rate it as low as a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I won't go all the way and rate it 4, possibly 5 stars, giving it a 5 out of 5 star rating all the way. Because as I said, we saw far more impressive draft lotteries. The draft lottery from 2004, which was the initial draft lottery, which came years after, somewhat starting a trend, gave us so many moments. Paul Heyman quitting as the SmackDown general manager after he was picked by Eric Bischoff. That you're altering the direction of WWE and making Paul Heyman go back to his initial roots of being a manager after having successfully managed careers like Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Undertaker. We also saw things like Edge make a successful return in 2004's draft lottery. So much happened from the initial draft lottery back in 2004, and in years to follow, so many significant things happened. In comparison to this year, the first ever shakeup, which is a lame way of changing things up from initially having called it the draft lottery, there was a significant amount of room for improvement, and I think that more people went away from this year's shakeup disappointed than were actually satisfied with what we got. And hopefully, in years to come, we will see that room of improvement brought in, and we won't have so much to complain about and or be disappointed about in the fallout of what was a very disappointing shakeup and could be a very disappointing 2017. Some things I'm looking forward to, though, are the shifts of the Intercontinental and United States titles and Bray Wyatt coming over from SmackDown to Raw and seemingly having broken off at least 50% of his 100% ties with the Wyatt family. I'm hoping we're going to see more focus of him focusing on just Bray Wyatt solely as a singles competitor rather than just being the leader and the follower of the Wyatt family, who is just been on fire in 2017 and on fire really for at least the last year and a half. So I'm really looking forward to seeing something done with Bray Wyatt. Hopefully something will become of him and the Intercontinental Champion Dean Ambrose and the United States Champion Kevin Owens. Payback is a pay-per-view to keep your eye on. It comes our way on April 30th, 2017. Really excited about that one and what kind of fallout we'll be in the midst of. And again, you can get in on the conversation of the 2017 WWE roster shakeups of Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live. I would really appreciate that. Can't tell you enough how much your input is greatly appreciated by me. And also, you can give me somewhat of an input on my beard and my new look, which I'm thinking about keeping. I'm not 100% confirming that I'm going to keep this look, but you let me know what you think of it, seeing as how you love my videos from what you've been telling me on Facebook and the feedback that I have been receiving. On that note, I'm your host, Jonathan Clarke. Enjoy the rest of 2017. We've got a ways to go, and a lot could change between now and the end of 2017. And I will talk to you again next week.
HEW Entertainment Radio is a production of HEW Entertainment on their official website and broadcasts on social media. You can join the conversation on our Facebook page at HEW Entertainment, follow and listen to our show on Twitter at Jonathan Clarke1, and watch us on our YouTube channel at Jonathan Clarke22. Hosted and produced by Jonathan Clarke out of Canada. If you have any questions on our radio broadcast, you can email us at jonathanclarke2005 at hotmail.com. Thank you for listening.